I don't want to be strong like man who look pretty. I want to be strong like bitch that fight bears in the forest.
Welcome to another episode of Bitch vs. Bear with your host, Amber.
Me.
And me, Sydney. Woohoo! Co-owners of Shield Maiden Training Co. This is a show where we bitch, laugh, and chat about all things fitness, wellness, and everything else under the sun that is related to women in the LGBTQIA+ community.
Sure is.
Yeah. You can tell by the look on Amber's face that she is thrilled about today's topic and conversation that we're going to have.
It's fine.
So, yep. Mm-hmm.
It's all great. Everything is wonderful.
We're going to dive into one of probably the most personal and unfortunately now political topics out there, reproductive justice. Specifically, we're looking at how abortion, fertility treatments, and queer parenthood intersect in a post-Roe world. We're unpacking the financial barriers, legal challenges, and societal stigma faced by queer, trans, and non-binary parents who want to build families or need access to abortion care.
Great. So excited. I'm so excited that reproductive health is now a political issue. Okay. It's all fine.
Yep.
All right. If you've ever wondered what it means to navigate fertility clinics, adoption agencies, or reproductive rights as someone outside of the heteronormative mold, this episode's for you. Let's get into it. Yay. All right, before we go any further, let's define our terms. Reproductive justice is more than just access to abortion. It's about the right to have children, the right to not have children, and the right to raise families in safe, sustainable communities.
Yes.
I would also add that it is the right to determine the size of your family and the timing of your family as well.
Yes. Yes. All of that.
Yes.
And this framework was actually created by Black feminists in the 1990s. So expansion to reproductive rights that included racial, economic, and gender justice. It's really about bodily autonomy, right? Like that's what we're talking about. But it's also about addressing systems that make parenting or even surviving harder for marginalized people. That's why today's conversation centers around queer and trans experiences, because the barriers are different when your identity isn't reflected in that traditional definitions of family.
Yes.
Yeah. I gave this topic to you. You're going to love it.
Okay. Okay. So abortion rights after Roe. What's changed?
What's changed, Amber?
Everything. Abortion access in the U.S. after Roe versus Wade was overturned is a fucking nightmare. Period, full stop, end of episode. As of now, when did we write this? And by we, I mean you. This would have been what, in January?
Yeah. That might be higher now.
Yeah. So as of about a month ago.
Yeah.
13 states have total abortion bans. Yeah, because at this point, I just saw something about a national board ban being
somebody wrote it, but
initiated. Anyways. And several other states have restrictions that make it nearly impossible to access care, which is essentially a ban.
Yeah.
Like let's call a spade a spade. And while most of the focus is on cisgender women, the reality is that trans and non-binary people are also affected and often overlooked, as they always are, in conversations about reproductive freedom. So even though abortion is technically still legal in many states, access is a whole other story.
Yeah. I mean, many trans men and non-binary folks need abortion care, but face those additional hurdles like misgendering in clinics, lack of gender inclusive language on forms, and just discrimination from the providers.
And let's not forget financial barriers, right? In states with bans, people are spending thousands of dollars to travel out of state for procedures or turning to mutual aid networks to fund their care. If you're a low income, queer, or trans person, the cost of travel, housing, childcare during an abortion trip can be devastating.
Yeah.
And this isn't even talking about the cost of the actual care itself.
Yes. This is the lead up or the post,
Yeah.
right? Like thousands of dollars because you can, if you're looking at a map, right? It isn't like if there's a ban in, say, Texas, the neighboring states are probably likely to be in a similar kind of thought process.
Mhm.
So you're not traveling from Texas just like one state over, which Texas is a huge state. You're traveling multiple states away to
Mhm.
try and find access to healthcare.
Yeah.
So that is thousands of dollars, right? And so like it's just, yeah, devastating. It can wipe somebody out. And like and then they're weighing, okay, well, like it's gonna cost this much, but having a kid, like, what do I,
Right.
yeah,
And then the
it's
cost of the procedure, because I'm sure their insurance company is not going to cover that.
yeah,
We all know healthcare costs can be devastating and life ruining.
yep, yeah. And then we're on the flip side of this, right? Like, let's talk about building families because
Mm.
for queer and trans folks, that process often requires a whole lot of money, planning,
Mhm.
and legal paperwork. So let's start with fertility treatments. For many
Oof.
LGBTQ people, having kids means navigating in vitro fertilization, IVF, sperm
Mhm.
or egg donors, or surrogacy, all of which are incredibly
Oh
expensive
my God, so
and inaccessible for most. We're
Mhm.
talking tens of thousands of dollars. And most insurance plans don't cover it unless infertility is diagnosed through heteronormative standards.
Yeah. Which,
So, and then up to a point, insurance companies, depending on the state you live in, will only cover portions of it because
right.
what they will cover the undiagnosed and up to like a certain point of like, okay, this is your infertility. But then, like, once you get pregnant or are in a process, it's like it's no longer infertility, right? Because now,
Now
yeah,
there's a tiny alien growing inside. Um, yeah, exactly. And if you're a lesbian couple or a trans man who hasn't undergone sterilization, you don't fit the insurance industry's definition of infertility, which means you're on the hook for those out-of-pocket costs.
yeah. And that's if you're even able to find providers who are LGBTQ friendly and trained in gender affirming care, right? So, like,
Right?
for trans folks,
That one
fertility,
person out there.
that one person out there, for trans folks, like, fertility clinics can feel like super hostile spaces,
I
especially when
bet.
hormone therapy or gender affirming surgeries complicate the fertility options.
hmm Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And it's worth noting that more clinics are offering egg or sperm freezing for trans patients before hormone therapy. But again, financial barriers make this an option for very few people.
Yeah. I mean,
And
an
I
egg
have no idea how much that would cost, but
An egg retrieval, depending, is going to be somewhere between probably 5 and 8,000 for egg retrievals. Obviously, yeah, sperm freezing is a little different. But then for if you, not
then you
only
got
are
to
you,
store it, right?
then you have to store it. So then there comes the storage fee, right? And so that becomes a whole other thing where you're paying a monthly fee to keep it on ice.
Yeah.
Like very cold. Ice is a relative term. Like very, very cold. It's not just like a giant block. Like,
And then it's time to thaw it out. What do you do with it? You've got to go like do a whole bunch of other stuff, I'm
yeah,
sure. Like, what a
yeah.
mess.
What a mess.
What a mess. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And then if, okay, so we now know IVF, expensive. I think we knew that before, but
I
it's
think
just like
yes.
one of those things that's really important to point out that, it's inaccessible for most people. And if you do choose to go that route, most people are, it's like, the only other way I can describe it is like taking out a very expensive car loan because most like rounds, because most people have to do more than one round of IVF.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at like 30 to 45,000 for retrieval, all of that. And so like a very expensive car payment,
Mm-hmm.
which like
And
who
it
wants
may not
another
even work.
it might not even work, right?
Ugh.
So if fertility treatments aren't an option, there's always adoption, right? Like we get told that all the time. Like, well, there's
Right.
always adoption. But even that's loaded with challenges. Queer couples often face discrimination from adoption agencies, especially those with religious affiliations, which
Mm.
many of them have. Like there's underlying, it's really weird. In some
It's all their
states,
charity.
yeah, it's still legal for agencies to deny services to LGBTQ parents based on religious freedom laws. So like they can just say, no, no.
I don't
You could be excellent parents, but no.
understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well,
You have a child with no home. These people want to take that child and give it a home. This feels like a mutually beneficial situation.
you would think. I'm really sad to inform you about the next line.
I don't want it. And I mean, if you're trans, like, don't even bother trying.
Yeah.
Some agencies question your ability to parent, while others deny the application outright.
Yeah.
Lie through your teeth.
Yeah.
Always lie.
It's insane. And even when adoption is successful, queer parents often deal with the extra legal steps like second parent adoption, where the non-biological parents have to adopt their own child to secure legal rights. So like this can also happen in IVF situations where so we're going to say, for example, Shelby uses my eggs, but she gave birth. So she is considered the birth mother, even though it is my egg. In some states, I would have to legally adopt my child because it is my egg because I did not give birth and all of the legal fees. Could you imagine? Also, think about this. Could you imagine being denied? Somebody being like, no,
Right.
right? Like, because it could happen. You're going through a legal process, even though, like, yep,
Ah.
yeah,
Mm. It's bananas. It's bananas.
BANANAS.
I
If
don't
that
think this is
didn't
what
just,
Gwen was talking about.
I don't think Gwen was talking about this, and I don't think she would appreciate me using her song in this manner.
Everyone uses it. It's fine. It it's just insane. It's insane. Straight couples don't need court orders to prove parenthood. Except sometimes when the mom refuses to put the dad on the birth certificate. I think there's a whole process, but it is not nearly as difficult.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, your DNA? Sure, you're the dad. Here you go. Like,
yeah,
but for queer folks, it's standard procedure, and that is absolutely fucking stupid.
yeah.
Like, I'm all for protecting the kids, but like, this doesn't feel like that.
No, that's the thing is, right? Like, this isn't protecting children. This isn't, and this is really, this is aiming to harm more than do good.
Yeah. Like, it seems to be hindering the kids from getting good homes and care and love
Yeah.
from wonderful parents who are going to be really wonderful and accepting and
Yeah.
love their children no matter what happens.
That whole pursuit of happiness thing.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay. Sydney, what can we do?
Well, we
Okay.
can talk about
Yeah.
some resources and some strategies for navigating the systems.
Suppose we could. We just
You're
take
like, I
down the
suppose.
fucking patriarchy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's step one.
Step 1, eat the patriarchy. Step 2, if you're exploring fertility treatments, look for clinics that advertise LGBTQ inclusive care. Groups like Family Equality and the American Society for Reproductive Medicine offer directories and guidelines.
They do. And there will be, IVF fertility clinics will often put, pride flags and other identifiers pretty visible so that folks immediately know, which I think is a nice nod. So you're not trying to like read through this entire like about us
Yeah.
page. Like just put a little flag up there. That'd be great.
Right? Why not? I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to do it.
And there are financial aid options. So there are some programs like Men Having Babies for surrogacy grants, or organizations like Resolve, the National Infertility Association for support networks.
Love that.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. There's actually a lot of grants and things that you can apply for. But again, there's a hurdle, right? Because you have to apply. You have
Right.
to do all of this. You have to fit into a timeline. And so it becomes, again, when you talked about earlier in the episode of like part of this is like the timing of when and all of that. Well, now you're fitting into somebody else's timeline because you're having to apply for a grant. So a lot of these grants are like you're looking to conceive within the next 6 months to a year. Well, uh, for IVF, that can be kind of hard because you have to time everything with IVF. And like, yeah, you can kind of manipulate that, but the way that they start IVF is off of, so like they do a bunch of blood work and things, and then
Right. Yeah.
they will you have to wait until your first period and then you contact the clinic because then they'll base everything off of that.
Right.
So you're just like waiting. And so yeah, it's one of those things where the timing could not fit what you want for your family.
Right.
So that's another side of this. And then if you're considering adoption, focus on agencies, obviously, that specifically serve LGBTQ plus families and connect with legal experts who can guide you through the process, especially around second parent adoption and like custody agreements, because it's not something a layperson is going to know. And it's not something that you should take on by yourself. But again, there's that financial side of it. And I would say that this, around adoption, like finances come into play a lot, right? Because you're having to hire legal experts and things like that. So
Right.
either way you're looking at it, there's going to be a financial burden element to trying to grow your family in whatever way that looks.
Yeah. On top of the financial burden of just having a family.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Go adopt some dogs. They're cheaper. No. If you want a family, have a family. And for I just said that.
I was like,
We're
oh,
going
wow.
to talk about abortion. For abortion access, follow groups like Planned Parenthood, the National Network of Abortion Funds, and If When How, lawyering for reproductive justice. They can connect you with resources if you need care in a restrictive state.
Yeah.
Or anywhere in the US at this point.
Yeah. So this episode is what I like to call Reproductive Justice 2.0. And we will likely have 3.0 and 4.0 and then maybe the millennium. I don't know. We're gonna keep talking about it until it becomes a non-issue. Right? Like that.
As it should be.
Yeah. Because queer parenthood isn't just personal, it's unfortunately political right now. And so, while I would love to have it just be personal, that's not the frame in which we're living in. And so we're just going to keep talking about it until that shit goes back to just being a personal decision, as it should be.
Never. We're going to be doing this podcast when we're 80 and still be talking about. It's going to be like, now that's music.
Yeah, right.
Reproductive justice. 600.
Now 55. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We laugh to keep from crying. Yeah.
Sometimes I cry while I laugh.
Maybe my next one will be like laughter is medicine. Since we did movement is medicine, talk about laughter is medicine.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's It's political and it shouldn't be, and it's so stupid. The pushback against LGBTQ families, gender affirming care, and abortion access is all connected. It's about policing who gets to have families and when and whose bodies are considered worthy of care. Spoiler, not any of ours.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really why reproductive justice has to stay at the center of our movements, of the resistance. It's not just about keeping abortion legal. It's about making sure everyone, regardless of gender or income, can make decisions about their own bodies.
Yes.
It
It
shouldn't be
always
that
comes
hard of a
back
concept.
to body autonomy.
Body autonomy. That's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Fight the patriarchy.
Yeah. All right. This was a heavy episode.
It was. It was.
I'll try and make a more fun one for the next one.
Great.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I saw the topic and assumed it wasn't going to be a lot of fun, but man, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And I don't even want kids.
Like, like this is
Like, I don't even want them. But like, it's absolutely batshit crazy to me that like it's so difficult for people to have kids.
Yeah.
And like I get that there's like biological, like medical issues for some people not having kids. Like that's not what I'm talking about. Just the like political hurdles that shouldn't exist.
Yeah. Either you want
And
them,
like
you don't want them. When do you want them? When do you not want them? Like that should
like
just be up to you.
and I feel like there's so much talk about like all these kids in foster care and like needing homes. Like, why are we making it so hard to adopt them? Like, yes, there should be like a bar for like good parents, but beyond, are you a good human being? Are you going to take care of them? Can you afford to take care of them? Great. Here's your child. Like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be that hard. There's more regulation and process around adopting a dog than a child,
Yeah.
or safety nets and like inclusivity.
Yeah.
Not more regulations, but like, you know what I mean? Ugh.
It's the Wild West. It's truly what it is.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Okay. We're not
Don't forget to do your breath work, Amber. Box breathing. It will
need to
help.
go meditate after this. Oh my God.
Highly
Because now I'm
recommend.
very angry.
I can tell. Take Gracie on a walk and do your box breathing.
It's too cold.
Oh. Do
Okay.
your box breathing and some yoga.
Mm.
There you go.
All right. If you enjoyed this episode, which God bless you if you did, please subscribe, rate, leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, social media stuff. I don't know. Connect with us, interact with us, join our movement. We're taking down the patriarchy. We ride at dawn. Maybe not dawn. That's a little early.
I was going to say, can we have like coffee first? Like maybe 7 a.m.?
Brunch.
Okay, that sounds
We'll meet
nice.
for brunch.
That sounds like more our community speed. Yeah, for sure.
Great. We'll do brunch and then we'll ride.
There we go. I like that.
All right.
Don the unicorns and ride into the sunset. Maybe ride into the sunset. There you go.
All right. That's a wrap. We're done. We're done.
We're done.
Remember, whether you're lifting weights or lifting each other up, let's keep breaking those barriers, building strength, and embracing our rainbow of resilience. Until next time, bitches and bears, stay fierce and stay fabulous.